Welcome to the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs and happy International Women's Day. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assemblyman Carter.
Present.
Assemblyman DeLong.
Present.
Assemblyman De Silva.
Here.
Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Assemblyman Gurr. Assemblyman Hibbets. Assemblyman Koenig. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblyman Wynn. Assemblywoman Taylor. Assemblywoman Thomas. And Chair Torres.
Welcome to the audience in Carson City, as well as those joining us in Las Vegas, and those listening in over the internet. Just a couple housekeeping items to begin. Please remember to silence all electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. For those joining online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and affiliation, if any, for the record. Then turn the microphone off each time you are done speaking. 20 hard copies should have been provided to the committee staff for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted to our committee manager by noon yesterday for members of the committee. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we may not agree with another person's position. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes. In addition, the public may submit written testimony to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. Just to let the committee know, we are going to go a little bit out of order today. I intend to start today with AB 180, which is our bill, and then we'll be followed by the presentation from the City of Henderson, as well as the City of North Las Vegas. So let's go ahead, and at this time, I'll open the hearing on AB 180, and I'll go ahead and give a moment to our colleague to get down so he can present. This measure revises the bargaining units of certain state employees who are peace officers. And when you all are ready, is this your first bill hearing, Assemblyman Hibbets?
Brian Hibbets for the record. Yes, it is.
Well, I think you're going to nail it because you already got your name for the record down. All right, when you're ready, you may proceed.
Good morning, Chair Torres and members of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs. For the record, I am Assemblyman Hibbets, representing Assembly District 13 in Clark County. I am here with you today to present Assembly Bill 180. As you may know, in 2019, the legislature approved Senate Bill 135, which authorized collective bargaining between the state and certain state employees, generally those in the classified system of employment. It provided for collective and supplemental bargaining between the executive branch of state government and an exclusive representative on a wide range of subjects, including, but not limited to, salary or wage rates, leave, and employee safety. The bill also defined bargaining units for specific employment groups, including separate bargaining units for Category 1, 2, and 3 peace officers as defined in NRS 289-460, 470, and 480, respectively. Nevada Revised Statute 288.515 defines the occupational groups who are authorized to establish a bargaining group, including professional and non-professional type occupations who are not in law enforcement. In the original legislation, all supervisors were grouped into one collective bargaining unit, which includes everything from law enforcement supervisors to mental health supervisors to supervisors of management analysts. Under this structure, there is no community of interest or unifying occupational characteristics that would allow these groups to come to a consensus on an array of working conditions. And so far, a supervisory bargaining unit has not been organized for the purpose of collective bargaining. Assembly Bill 180 before you today seeks to resolve some of the collective bargaining challenges for law enforcement. Supervisors who are, for law enforcement supervisors who are grouped in with every other type of supervisor employed by the state. In Section 1, this bill allows law enforcement supervisors to engage in collective bargaining by requiring the Government Employee Management Relations Board to establish a bargaining unit separately for supervisory employees who are Category 1, 2, and 3 peace officers. Finally, under Section 2, the bill clarifies that changes made by this bill do not affect any agreements entered into before October 1st of 2023. And I will now turn it over to my co-presenter, Mr. Rick McCann.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, and staff. My name is Rick McCann. I'm here representing the Nevada Association of Public Safety Officers and the Nevada Law Enforcement Coalition. First, I want to thank Assemblyman Hibbets, Assemblyman De Silva, who is also, I think, a joint sponsor, and other co-sponsors for their efforts on this bill. In addition to, I think, Senator Pizzina. She's also involved in this. It's kind of hard to follow this because he just said everything was on my script here. It's kind of, and I get paid by the word, so I guess I probably should say this. As Assemblyman Hibbett said, existing law permits collective bargaining units for each of several occupational groups employed by the state, including Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3 rank and file, under the supervisors. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're not the supervisory groups. They're not the supervisors of those three groups, just the rank and file people. In fact, supervisors of all occupational groups are currently lumped into one big old bargaining unit. Well, that's unmanageable. It's difficult to get one big bargaining unit that is composed of law enforcement supervisors, accounting supervisors, physical therapy supervisors, mental health agency supervisors, state maintenance worker supervisors, administrative and clerical worker supervisors. They're all in one big thing, and there's no community of interest. So that just doesn't work. And for 4 years, therefore, since 2019, when we got collective bargaining for the state people, supervisors have essentially not been able to bargain because they have not been in a bargaining unit sufficient to do so. For this reason, this particular bill here of Assemblyman Hibbets, it addresses those issues for Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3 supervisory peace officers. By establishing separate bargaining units for these three supervisory occupational categories, we give them the opportunity to collectively bargain their wages, their benefits, their working conditions within the units that have community of interest with them. That's the whole purpose for having these bargaining units, is that you have people that you are bargaining with who have the community of interest with you. And for this reason, very simply, we ask for your support of AB 180. It's a great bill, and we need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Vice Chair Duran?
Good morning, and thank you for the presentation. I truly believe in bargaining. So my question was, so you just basically stated now that to bargain for wages and stuff like that, but the benefits should always be the same. Is that what you want to do, is make them different as a percentage, or on the raises part of it? Or that's my question, is because I know job duties and stuff are different for each category, but are the benefits that you want to are going to be negotiated differently than the rest of the Category 1, 2, and 3 peace officers?
Brian Hibbets for the record. The bill doesn't actually address any of the items to be negotiated for. It only allows them to negotiate, to form their own collective bargaining unit and to negotiate. I can get into other parts later, but it doesn't actually address what would be negotiated, just to allow them to negotiate. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
It does. So just for my understanding, so the other Category 1, 2, and 3 already have a collective bargaining agreement that they negotiated through?
Brian Hibbets for the record. Yes, they do. As Mr. McCann put it, the line officers all have their own collective bargaining units and agreements.
And are their wages and benefits negotiated differently, or are they kind of basically, I know the job duties are different, but as far as the benefits go and wages, are those negotiated an individual per category or for their job?
If I may, Madam Chair, Rick McCann for the record, through the chair to Assemblywoman Duran. Yes, when you deal with supervisors in the law enforcement community, they may have different benefits. They have different needs. They have different, of course, ranges of compensation issues, things of that nature. So yes, having done many contracts for both rank and file as well as supervisory groups in law enforcement over the last decades, I can assure you there are times we sit at the bargaining table and there are different benefits that supervisors will require. You have people in canine, you have people in motors, motorcycle people. They have different things when they are supervisors they require. They may be equipment needs, they may be other types of needs that they have, without getting into details of them. But yes, there most assuredly can be. There's a lot of attitude as well. They all do the same thing. Supervisors do some different things, and they'll make you aware of it when we're sitting at the bargaining table. So yes, there is very much a definite need for wages, benefits, and working conditions, even though many of them may coincide. Some of them do not.
Thank you for the clarification.
Members, additional questions? I believe I see Assemblywoman Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to my colleague, and thank you for bringing this forward. I believe that bargaining is important, and this I know isn't about not being able to bargain. It's separating the group. So can you provide for us just a little, get a little information on what do you see? What do you see best practices wise? Are supervisors generally lumped in, if you will, with the front line, or do they usually have their separate bargaining units?
Brian Hibbets for the record. Assemblywoman, I can only speak from my own experience, and in my career as a law enforcement officer, we had, at LVMPD, we had 3 separate bargaining units, one for civilian employees, one for the line officers of both police and corrections, and one for the supervisory employees of police and corrections. One of the issues that comes up when you have a combination of the line officers and supervisors in the same bargaining unit is it's a conflict of interest. I have people if I'm in the same union as the cop that works for me, I have people negotiating for me that I supervise, and the interests don't always align. Sure. So that's why we have the separation. Does that answer your question?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, yes. Yes, it does. It does. That's been my experience too. Obviously not having worn the badge, but just being involved with several organizations that have that. I've seen them different. I didn't know if that was an aberration, but it sounds like that seems to be what you find across the board. So that's helpful. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I will say that sounds awfully similar to what we do in schools too. I know that there's a separate association for administrators than there is for educators, and just to kind of keep that separation. So is that kind of the goal then with this legislation, to allow for that, allow for supervisors to have the ability to collect a bargain, but also keep that separation so that those organizations can operate a little bit, aren't representing both the supervisor and the employee?
Brian Hibbets for the record. That is correct. That is the whole goal of the legislation, is to allow them to establish bargaining units and also to separate them from the people that they supervise.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? I don't believe there are any. Thank you. At this time, I'll invite anyone wishing to testify in support of AB 180. As a reminder, everyone will be given 2 minutes, and please just make sure you state and spell your name for the record. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Troyce Krumey, Troyce, last Krumme, and I am the current Vice Chairman of the Las Vegas Police Managers and Supervisors Association down in Las Vegas, as well as a representative of the Public Safety Alliance of Nevada, here to testify in support of AB 180, because this bill addresses an issue that exists specifically at the state level based on changes made in 2019 that might have had a blind spot that needs corrected. I believe that the state employees and the supervisors should have the ability to collectively bargain, similar to the fashion that we do at the local level, so that it runs smoothly. Additionally, before I close, I'd like to offer the opportunity to anyone on the committee, as the vice chairman of a supervisor police union that operates rather smoothly, if anyone would like to reach out to me for some clarifying questions before making a decision on this bill, I'd be more than happy to offer myself to provide a little bit of background on how smooth negotiating for supervisors separately from officers. Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Dan Gordon, D-A-N, last name is Gordon, G-O-R-D-O-N. I'm the president of the Nevada Police Union, which represents the Category 1 line level peace officers for the state. Good morning, committee and members. On behalf of the brave men and women of the Nevada Police Union, I wanted to thank you all for your consideration of AB 180 and its effort to create collective bargaining units for Category 1 police officers who our membership includes. As you know, police supervisors right now are unable to organize and bargain for better pay and benefits, working conditions because of the catch-all supervisory unit that exists today. NPU would also like to thank Assemblymember Hibbets for bringing this bill forward, along with Senator Pazina for co-sponsoring this bill, along with AB 166 in the Senate. It's important to have 3 supervisor units for police because of the vast differences between working conditions and law enforcement in the field versus in the office versus in a prison setting. We believe that the 3 police supervisor units is the most responsible way for the state to allow the state employees to organize and collectively bargain for better working conditions, which keeps Nevadans safe and secure. Thank you.
Kent Irvin, K-N-T-E-R-V-N, for the Nevada Faculty Alliance. We support AB 180. Our colleagues in the campus police in the Southern Command and the Northern Command are Category 1 peace officers. It makes sense for their supervisors to have their own bargaining unit because they meet the community of interest standard, which would be a big stretch if they are in the same unit as supervisors for other categories of classified employees. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify in support of AB 180 here in Carson City? Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of AB 180? Seeing none, BS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in support of AB 180?
Chair, the line is open and working, but we have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to AB 180? Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition to AB 180? I don't believe I see any. BPS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in opposition to AB 180?
Chair, the line is open and working, but we have no callers for opposition.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to testify neutral to AB 180 here in Carson City? Is there anyone in Las Vegas? Oh, in Las Vegas for AB 180? We're in neutral. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Bruce Snyder. For the record, I am the Commissioner of the Employee Management Relations Board, which would administer the law. I just want to provide a little context. We are testifying in neutral. Back in 1969, when collective bargaining began for local governments, supervisors were in separate bargaining units from the rank and file people they supervised. Over the last 50 years, that has worked well and has avoided conflict of interest situations such as when a supervisor disciplines an employee and they would both be in the same bargaining unit, and then the union has to decide which one to support. In 2019, when SB 135 was introduced to give collective bargaining to state employees, I was brought in as a technical resource to the governor's office to ensure that the bill could be administered effectively and to point out any potential pitfalls. One of the things that was determined at that time is that the bill, SB 135, had 10 predefined bargaining units of 10 different types of employees, and that the rank and file employees and the supervisors were mixed into each of those 10 bargaining units. After pointing out the potential conflict of interest situations, it was decided rightly that the supervisors should be separated from the rank and file bargaining units. The only question at that time was how many supervisory bargaining units there should be. 3 alternatives were suggested. One was to have a corresponding supervisory bargaining unit for each of the 10 rank and file units, so there would be 10 plus 10 or 20 units. A second alternative was to have 2 supervisory bargaining units, one for white and blue collar employees and one for uniformed employees, i.e. police and fire. The third alternative, which was the one that was selected at that time and which was passed into law, was to have 1 supervisory bargaining unit. The EMRB is ambivalent as to how many supervisory bargaining units there are. We just wanted to point out what the history was on this. And if this body and the legislature as a whole determines that it should be another number, and that there should be separate units for police and fire supervisors, we are ready to administer the law as passed, and we will do so effectively. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? I don't believe there are any. Thank you for that background information. Is there anyone else wishing to testify neutral in Las Vegas to AB 180? I don't believe I see any. BPS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify neutral to AB 180?
Chair, your line is open and working, but we have no callers for neutral at this time.
I keep spacing out today. Sorry about that. All right, at this time, I would like to invite the bill sponsor for any closing remarks.
Brian Hibbets for the record. Thank you, Chair. If I may dispense with my scripted remarks for just a moment and tell you a quick story. Last night I was at one of the many events that we as Assembly people get invited to when I was having a discussion with a couple of gentlemen that are state peace officers. They were both tenured. They had been on the job for a while, and I asked them if they were supervisors, and they said they weren't. I asked them if they had any plans to promote. They said they did not, which is fine because not everybody promotes. It's not in everybody's best interest. And I asked them, well, why not? They said there's absolutely no benefit to it for them. They would lose seniority. They would lose their ability to bid for shifts. They would lose their ability to pick their days off. And I asked them, well, what if supervisors had a collective bargaining unit? And both of them went, huh. And they liked the idea. Those are the people that this bill affects. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration, and I ask that you pass this bill out of committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, I will close the hearing on AB 180. Congratulations, Assemblyman Hibbets, on your first bill presentation. It only gets easier from here. All right, and at this time, we'll go ahead and move on to our presentations for today. So we will go ahead and begin with the City of Henderson. And I believe that we have Councilman Dan Stewart in Las Vegas, correct? And then I also have the city manager, but it looks like we have more, so just introduce yourselves all when you're ready, and you may begin when you're ready.
Gonna borrow this one.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Dan Stewart, City Councilman for the City of Henderson. Nicole, did you want to start first?
Go ahead, Councilman. You're doing great.
Okay, so Dan Stewart, Councilman for City of Henderson, also acting Mayor Pro Tem at this time. Thank you, Chair Torres and members of this committee for the opportunity to join you today and to share with you some of the highlights about City of Henderson. And especially thank you for allowing us to present from the Grant Sawyer building. We were all planning to come up there last week, and of course, inclement weather didn't allow us to do that. I also want to give a quick acknowledgement to our government affairs team for the City of Henderson, Nicole and Michael and David and Chris and the whole team for a wonderful job they do throughout the year, and especially at the legislation session, and for helping us put this presentation together. So again, first a little bit about me. I represent Ward 4 in Henderson and have had the honor of serving in that position for a little over 6 years. I'm also privileged to represent the city on several regional boards, including the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition, the Clark County Debt Management Commission, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. I'm proud, very proud, fourth-generation Nevadan with a background working in both the public and private sectors, including engineering, real estate, banking, construction, development, and public service. Let me introduce you to my colleagues on the City Council. To my right, immediate right in the photo, you'll see our new mayor, Michelle Romero. Next to her is Councilwoman Carrie Cox, and then on the end is Councilman Dan Shaw. We also have an open seat due to Mayor Romero's election, left an open seat, and that election, special election, will culminate in the first week of April. So we're looking forward to getting that fifth seat filled. I think one of our greatest strengths at the city is that we enjoy a very high level of cooperation, and I think this is probably one of the main reasons, or one of the main things that has contributed to the success of the city of Henderson in maintaining the quality of life that our residents enjoy and expect, and for the economic development that we have seen over the last several years in the city of Henderson. We are also very fortunate to have a great city manager, I truly mean that, who has built an all-star team. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you City Manager and CEO, sitting to my right, Richard Derrick.
Thank you, Councilman Stewart. And thank you, Chair Torres, Vice Chair Duran, and members of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs. For the record, my name is Richard Derrick, City Manager and Chief Executive Officer for the City of Henderson. Thank you for inviting us to be with you here today. I'd like to introduce you to my executive leadership team. From left to right on the screen, Assistant City Manager and Chief Infrastructure Officer, Robert Herr, Assistant City Manager and Chief Strategy Officer, Stephanie Garcia-Vaz, and Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer, Jim McIntosh. Since our incorporation in 1953, Henderson has continued to experience sustained growth. Our population now exceeds 336,000, making us the second largest city in Nevada. We are also the state's largest full-service city, providing police, fire, EMS, parks and recreation, public works, water, and wastewater services. We are incredibly proud of our accredited departments, and we'll be discussing these services and the city's finances in detail with you this morning. The city's unemployment rate sits at 5% as of December of 2022, compared to almost 9% from the same period in 2021. We're especially proud that the city continues to maintain our AA+ bond rating. Henderson really is a place for everyone to call home, and we join the rest of Southern Nevada in seeing increased diversity among our residents over the last few decades. In recognition of this diversity, we have targeted our outreach to a wide array of communities to ensure they are aware of the city's many services and programs that we offer. Our Community Development and Services Department has implemented a limited English proficiency plan, which analyzes where these residents live and ensures we include their needs as we conduct outreach for our city services. After English, Spanish, and Tagalog are the two top commonly used languages in Henderson. We provide translation services at our outreach events and document in multiple languages as needed. We also have access to both phone and live translation services. Henderson also employs 2 diversity liaisons, and we have a robust diversity, equity, and inclusion coalition made of employee volunteers. Through these efforts, we are committed to fostering a sense of safety, acceptance, visibility, and validity for our employees and our residents. Henderson's strategic plan is developed using input from residents, businesses, and Henderson's elected leaders, and it establishes the priorities that guide the decisions we make as a city. This plan aligns with both our Henderson Strong Comprehensive Plan and the Southern Nevada Strong Regional Comprehensive Plan. This June, we will roll out a new strategic plan for the 4-year period of 2024 through 2027, which may include new priorities. Our budgetary process also reflects these strategic priorities, as well as the legislative priorities that we will be working with you on this session. One way the city is charting a course on its path to premier is by using the Baldrige approach and feedback to improve the way we do business. The Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award criteria is the standard for improving organizational performance. Since beginning our Baldrige journey in 2012, Henderson has been recognized with 2 Pioneer Awards and 2 Category Awards for our best practices and innovative approaches. Last August, the city was assessed on about 250 standards for performance excellence using the Baldrige criteria. We were awarded the Pinnacle Award, the top rating from the Southwest Alliance for Excellence. We are the only city in Nevada to earn this recognition. In addition to the awards we've received, our residents and businesses have also confirmed we're on the right path. In our 2021 Community Assessment Survey, Henderson residents told us that they love our city. Even in the midst of a pandemic, Henderson continued to receive very high marks, consistent with past surveys going back to 2010. Of those who gave us their opinion, 97% expressed satisfaction with Henderson's quality of life. 94% said they are satisfied with the quality of services provided by the city. And we got very high scores as a place to live, a place to raise a family, and a place to retire. Our recent 2022 business survey provided similar results, with consistently strong numbers in Henderson as an excellent place to do business, our quality of life, and being a business-friendly community. We're encouraged by the positive feedback we continue to receive from the residents and businesses who call Henderson home. Our general fund is comprised of a variety of sources, but nearly 75% is made up of consolidated and property taxes. Our general fund's revenues are budgeted at just over $325 million for FY 2023. Nearly 75% of our general fund is tax-based, leaving only a small portion that we can control as a city. Most of our revenues are established through statutory formulas. We maintain our premier services, programs, and amenities with the lowest tax rate among any major city in the state. You can see here that Henderson's property tax rate is only 77 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, which is the lowest in the Las Vegas Valley. Our economy has been remarkably resilient throughout the COVID recovery, and we saw record numbers in both property tax receipts and consolidated tax in the prior year. However, the tremendous growth rate as we have experienced has been coming down to normal, from double-digit to single-digit increases. This amount is primarily sales tax and therefore highly dependent on the local Southern Nevada economy. We are also experiencing increased cost pressures across our operations, from new construction, infrastructure, gasoline, professional services, personnel, and other expenses. Our annual budget requests for capital improvements, operational and strategic priorities continuously outstrip the available resources we have. Therefore, we work with the city leadership and city council to ensure that we are strategically allocating our finite resources. Public safety accounts for more than half of our budget in the general fund. Add in parks and recreation, and 73% of our general fund budget goes towards these 3 areas: parks, fire, and police. The rest of the budget is allocated to various priorities identified in the strategic plan, as well as city operations. As a city government that provides full services to the community, most of that budget expense is in the form of salaries and benefits. Our community survey consistently rates community safety as one of our top issues for residents, and it remains one of the highest strategic priorities. The City Council and city leadership have invested significantly to maintain strong fire and police departments. In fact, almost 60% of our operating budget is dedicated to keeping our community one of the safest in the nation. The Henderson Police Department's new West Station will open this spring. And we broke ground recently on HPD's new forensic laboratory and evidence vault, one of only 3 accredited public-funded forensic laboratories in Nevada. Our Henderson Fire Department continues to be the top 0.5% in the nation. We just opened the 12th fire station in the new Cadence community, our 3rd station in just 5 years. We've invested more than $10 million over the past 3 years to update the Henderson Fire Department's fleet, and we'll invest more than $60 million over the next 5 years to upgrade our older fire stations. The fire department also recently created a new paramedic ambulance operator position, which allows us to add advanced life support ambulances to the emergency response system during the busiest hours of the day. In fact, the Henderson Fire Department was just awarded the Cashman Good Government Award by Nevada Taxpayers Association. Over the years, Henderson has grown into a mature, vibrant, and sophisticated city. Henderson is a place to call home, and we consistently strive to provide premier services, amenities, and opportunities for a great quality of life. That means investing in our students to help them become productive citizens and a skilled, educated workforce. That means ensuring our city is safe. And that means providing quality job opportunities along with good roads and accessible parks and trails for outdoor recreation. That is the exceptional quality of life that people desire when they choose Henderson as a place to live, learn, work, and play. That's why we are consistently recognized as one of the best cities in the nation to live, as well as our premier parks and trails. We are proud to be a 2-time gold medal winner for the best parks and recreation system as a nation, as awarded by the National Recreation and Parks Association. In 2022, we were honored once again to be a gold medal finalist. Another of our strategic priorities is high-performing public service. Like the companies we seek to attract, the city is a top-performing organization. For the 2nd year in a row, the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Business Press have recognized Henderson as one of Nevada's top workplaces, and we achieved that distinction and other accomplishments I have shared with you while maintaining one of the leanest city governments with only 6.4 employees per 1,000 residents. Our Public Works and Utilities departments are both accredited by the American Public Works Association. Our Utilities Department is working with the Southern Nevada Water Authority on the Horizon Lateral to bring additional infrastructure to West Henderson and the western part of the valley. And we are pursuing utilities expansions at Nevada State College to support its growing student population. Our Public Works Department has hundreds of projects in various stages of design and construction, including millions in infrastructure reinvestment. They recently managed the annexation of 8,000 acres of land in the El Dorado Valley into Henderson city limits, which will be designated for industrial growth. More than $90 million has been spent on road and flood control improvements in Henderson last year, which includes regional and RTC-funded projects. We continue to seek funding to accelerate significant regional roadway projects, such as the proposed interchanges at I-15 at Villa Nobila and Sloan, high-traffic interchanges along the I-215 at Green Valley Parkway and Pecos, and updating the I-215, I-515 interchange that is badly out of date with current traffic demand. In 2021, Henderson received an infra grant of nearly $40 million to address one of the most dangerous highways in Nevada. The Reimagined Boulder Highway Project is one of the United States Department of Transportation's top national priorities. The city's vision for Boulder Highway includes enhancing automobile, bicycle, and pedestrian safety and improving the area. This project will be a catalyst for redevelopment of that corridor, with a total planned investment of $130 million through 2025. Affordable housing remains one of the city's pressing concerns. A Gwynn Center study showed that almost 250,000 Clark County residents and 20,000 residents in Henderson could be risk of homelessness if current economic conditions do not improve. Councilman Dan Shaw has spearheaded a new Henderson Housing Advisory Committee. This committee will help to address the challenges associated with providing adequate, affordable housing for workers in our city and our more vulnerable populations, including seniors and families. We're also proactively in our efforts to provide assistance to those experiencing homelessness in Henderson, while also being sensitive to residents' concerns about the growth of the homeless population in our community. We've partnered with the UNLV School of Social Work on a survey to help us better understand the needs of those experiencing homelessness and the barriers to resources. And we participated in the Regional Continuum of Care, whose mission is to end homelessness in Southern Nevada. We also facilitated the distribution of nearly $3 million to help residents in need last year, including increased housing options and revitalization of existing neighborhoods. The City of Henderson prioritizes efforts to revitalize maturing neighborhoods in our city through redevelopment efforts to keep them as vital and welcoming as when they were first built. Currently, the city has 5 redevelopment areas. We've worked hard over the years to invest in and build up these areas, like the historic Water Street District. Through an innovative public-private partnership with the Golden Knights organization, Lifeguard Arena, which replaced the old convention center, has been open for just over 2 years now and has sparked all sorts of new development in the area. Another example is the city's purchase of the old Fiesta site. We're planning a state-of-the-art indoor community sports facility that will expand Henderson's premier reputation in community sports and will also provide great economic opportunity for tourism. I'd like to turn it back over to Councilman Stewart now to address a few topics where his expertise plays a very vital role.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. I think we all can see why the Malcolm Baldrige Foundation recently recognized Richard with its 2023 Award for Leadership in recognition of all that has been achieved and accomplished during his tenure. Now let's talk economic development, something near and dear to my heart. Our first priority is to continue to value and serve our existing businesses to help them grow. We also made incredible strides in attracting businesses in our target areas. Data drives our strategy, so we're launching a study to evaluate our target industries and looking at potential updates. I'm excited to share that we have a number of projects in Henderson which are helping to diversify Southern Nevada's economy. And we see in West Henderson continued opportunity for growth as an employment center. More than a decade ago, we worked hard to secure passage of the Omnibus Public Lands Management Act. More than 500 acres of federal land was conveyed to the West Henderson Global Business District, designated specifically for industrial development. We're now seeing big rewards from the investment of this time and effort. Welcoming Haas Automation, a high-tech industrial park, and other companies that are now changing the landscape of our city. Haas Automation, they're the world's largest manufacturer of machines that build machines. And they are currently underway constructing their 2.4 million square foot advanced manufacturing center, which will bring approximately 2,500 jobs over the next decade. We're also working with our higher education institutions to address the very important workforce needs of the future. Nevada State College marked its 20th year anniversary last year, and is one of the fastest growing colleges in the entire nation. Henderson contributed also to the new Glenn and Andy Christensen School of Education, which will significantly increase our teacher pipeline, as we all know, much needed. We also worked with NSC and the College of Southern Nevada to create the Betty Engelstead School of Health Sciences, which will help address the critical need in our community for more healthcare professionals. As we have partnered with CSN to build, we have partnered, with CSN to build the new Center of Excellence right next to Haas Automation. This advanced manufacturing training facility will prepare our current and future workforce for the high-skill, high-paying jobs we are creating in Henderson. These investments support our commitment to quality education and demonstrate our commitment to economic development to help attract companies to relocate and expand here in Henderson. We also continue to support Clark County School District and our schools throughout Henderson with dollars from our educational set-aside funding and partnerships. Since 2015, we've invested more than $10 million to bring additional resources to our Henderson schools. This is done by using 18% set aside from our redevelopment areas that Richard just previously explained, and by dedicating 30% of the marijuana business licensing fees to investing in our students, teachers, administrators, and classrooms. Creating the jobs of the future also requires a commitment to develop the workforce of the future. We partnered with CCSD to create career opportunities for students, and we are still hopeful about the development of a new CCSD Career and Technical Academy in Henderson, with hopefully a potential opening date of 2026. We've already had input on the planned curriculum that will be specific to our projected workforce needs. The City of Henderson's residents and leadership also recognize the importance of access to high-quality, early learning opportunities. This is demonstrated through investments in quality enhancements to the classroom environment and curriculum and assessments in our own license program, which currently serves 225 students ages 3 to 5 in both full and half-day programming. In addition, we support community childcare and preschool programs by connecting them to state initiatives that have provided the following: grant funding for program expansion and enhancement, professional development for teachers, and wraparound services for our families. Of course, none of our priorities will be achievable without a commitment to sustainability. Our 2022 Sustainability Report Card is available on the city's website. Henderson has significantly reduced our energy consumption and lowered emissions through the integration of renewable energy sources and a variety of energy efficiencies initiatives. We've been recognized for our green building practices, which include water and energy-saving features. Our commitment to sustainability has resulted in a continued reduction in Henderson's carbon emissions and sources of air pollution locally. Sustainability considerations are integrated into the way we do business, and we continually improve the efficiency of city operations. We have also focused on water conservation, something near and dear to all of us, which has allowed us to grow while using less water than in previous decades. Locally, we focused on reducing wasteful outdoor use by ensuring compliance with watering restrictions and removing non-functional turf on city property. We're also increasing rates for mega users to encourage them to scale back. Water conservation efforts are more critical than ever, as we all know, and we must continue to inform and engage our community to achieve our shared goals. With that, I'll turn the balance of the time over to City Manager Richard.
Thank you, Councilman. As we wrap up, I just want to mention that we appreciate the committee hearing AB 60 last Wednesday, the Nevada League of Cities legislation that was developed with input from the city. We are fortunate to have a government affairs team dedicated to working with you throughout the session, led by Nicole Rourke, our Director of Government and Public Affairs, along with David Cherry, Government Affairs Manager, and Mike Cathcart, Business Operations Manager. They are always available to answer questions and work with you on bills that have the potential to impact the City of Henderson. Thank you, Chair Torres and members of the committee. That concludes our presentation. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that very brief that very brief presentation. We appreciate it. At this time, members, any questions? Assemblywoman Gonzalez and then Assemblywoman Taylor.
Thank you. Oh, this mic is so awkward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. I was just curious, looking at your money fund, I was curious how much the city manager makes in your city. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I believe my last review was back in July, and my current salary is $289,000.
Assemblywoman Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the presentation. Learned a lot about the city of Henderson. One of the things that I learned about, honestly, what I really didn't know was the growing level of diversity that you have in your city. I mean, at 57%, you're not too far away from being a majority city. So that's just something I didn't know. So kudos for that. Happy to see that growth. One of the things that I always like to ask about as a small business owner myself, when you see the numbers, the diversity that's growing in the community, I'd like to ask about if you have anything that will help support small businesses, in particular, supplier diversity program, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, disabled people-owned businesses. That's usually with some of the components of a supplier diversity program as part of that economic development that the councilman spoke about, and it's something that can really lend to the richness of those diverse populations that you have. Did you have anything like that, or have you had any conversations?
Thank you, Assemblywoman Taylor, for the question. Richard Derrick, for the record. We do have business assistance programs, and especially through COVID, obviously, we were distributing a lot of money to try to make sure businesses stayed afloat. We've got some criteria used in purchasing as well to ensure we're looking at women and minority-owned businesses. As far as direct assistance programs, we don't typically have a lot of that on an ongoing basis, other than what we do with our economic development folks out there trying to work with businesses to find locations, to try to help them be successful, go through trainings, but not really any financial assistance on an ongoing basis. I think COVID was probably the best example of where we were really engaged in trying to provide $5,000 grants or some of those other similar assistance. But it would be something for us to absolutely look into.
Thank you so much. Chair, may I follow up?
Quickly, please.
Okay, quickly, just informationally, usually a supplier diversity program doesn't really consist of grants. It's helping those businesses learn how to do business with the city, be involved in the vendor portals and those types of getting certification. So it's not necessarily a financial piece. It's just a little broader than that. But I appreciate you saying it's something you can look into. Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Carter.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Kind of a two-part question, maybe more, but we've talked a lot about ICE and how different entities are profiting from the detention of immigrants. And so what I'd like to know is, what is the relationship with Henderson and ICE, both at the law enforcement level and with the detention center?
Thank you for the question regarding our detention center. Richard Derrick, for the record. The City of Henderson currently has a contract with the U.S. Department of Justice that allows ICE detainees to be housed in the city's detention center. As of February 23rd this year, the number of ICE detainees on site was 79. This represents less than 1/3 of the facility's current population. Detainees are officially in ICE's custody, even though they are housed at the Henderson Detention Center. ICE is responsible for all transportation and for removing detainees from the custody of the Henderson Detention Center. And we have some other contracts as well beyond just ICE with Boulder City PD, Clark County Detention Center, the U.S. Marshal Service, Paiute and Maiapa, and then the U.S. Park Service. So we've got some agreements with different groups to house, but again, they're just one component of that.
So on the law enforcement side, though, so if somebody gets taken into custody for a violation in Henderson, and is their status communicated to ICE so that they can be shanghaied the minute they step out of your detention facility?
No. If an arrestee has a warrant for their arrest, we will work with ICE, but typically we're just actually used as a detention center. So we are not working with ICE on what ICE is out there doing. ICE, that's their responsibility. The city itself just houses their inmates. They're responsible again for transportation, anything to do with their care, but the city of Henderson just provides the actual facility. It does not work with ICE on what their focus is.
Thank you. And if we could just, if I could request a copy of that contract that it has been created with USCIS, and if I could also request if any action that has been taken since the report that was from the Department of Homeland Security on March 15th of 2022 that demonstrates that at this detention center, there was a lack of safe drinking water, a lack of vitamins, a lack of kosher meals, a lack of recreation, sufficient visitation time, shower temperature, lack of reading material, lack of interpreters, and many other complaints. I want to know exactly what's been done in response to those complaints because every individual deserves justice and a high quality of life. And I mean, these are civil rights complaints to the Department of Homeland Security at our Henderson Detention Center. This isn't a private detention center. And I want to know exactly what we've done to respond to those.
Thank you for your inquiry. Again, Richard Derrick for the record. I have to be honest with you, I'm not aware of those complaints. And so we'll have to dig into those complaints and we will provide you the information that we will be able to look at. Again, those that's not something I'm aware of.
Perfect. And we'll make sure we get you a copy of that. We can have it posted on Nellis as well for members of the public that would like to take a look at that. Assemblyman Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think these questions were kind of along the line of some of my colleagues that were asking, especially the Assemblywoman to my left here, in terms of your diversity initiatives. I didn't see it mentioned. I did see a slide that mentioned your population, but in terms of the growth and the diversity of City of Henderson, I know that because, you know, my wife and I are business owner within the City of Henderson, and I do notice that the diversity and population has grown, but do you have any types of language access services within the City of Henderson, as well as other language program that the city provides? Because as we know, Nevada is a growing diversity, and I'm just wondering if one of our biggest cities have access for our citizen in your cities.
Thank you for the question regarding the city's language access programs and services. For the record, Richard Derrick. Through our Community Development Department services, we analyze census data by zip code to identify areas of the city that may need language access programs and services. We tailor our outreach efforts in those areas with additional documents printed in additional languages, primarily Spanish. During our COVID response, we distributed flyers and other information about financial assistance and housing assistance printed in Spanish. We also advertise events in Spanish, such as the neighborhood resource fairs and cleanups, where we bring together city services and nonprofit partners together for the community. In addition to advertising, we have bilingual staff available on site during those events. In our public safety departments, we have certified bilingual and multilingual officers, And whenever possible, we try to have those officers meet with the public face-to-face, either in the field or in office as necessary. If that is not possible, every officer has an automated translation services app, and we have live phone call translation services as well. We also have translation services contracts with our departments, and we have a language bank of bilingual employee volunteers who speak over 10 different languages. One of the areas we are continuing to work on is the translation of vital documents into additional languages. Examples of those are complaints, consent, and release and waiver forms, claim or application forms, letters or notices that require a response, and other documents required by law. So we've made great strides, but again, there's still work to be done.
Quick follow-up, Chair. Thank you. Mr. Manager, would you be able to give us a list of those languages? You said 10 languages. I would be great to learn on what those 10 languages are, because we would want to set up an example for other cities in our state to follow. So we appreciate if you could send that to the committee. And I don't know if you know any of those languages on top of your head in those 10 by chance?
Again, we've got Tagalog, Arabic, Chinese, and others, but we will make sure we get the list for you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Assemblyman Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question about your police department. Other than the chief's position, do you know the vacancy rate?
Thank you, Assemblyman, for the question. Richard Derrick for the record. The last time I have seen the vacancy rate report, I believe it was 11%. And again, we are working to fill those positions. That includes across the entire organization, the police department, but it was right around 11%, and that was about a month ago.
Quick clarifying. Just to clarify, is that commissioned, or does that include the civilian employees also?
I believe it's department-wide, and so I'd have to segregate out just the uniform, but we can get that for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? Thank you. I think that's all. Thank you so much. And council member, it's so great to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing us to present. See ya.
All right. At this time, we do have another presentation from the city of North Las Vegas. They travel in packs there. So whenever you're ready, come up. Thank you. It's great to have you, Mayor.
Good morning, Chair Torres, Vice Chair Duran, and members of the hardworking Committee on Government Affairs. It is a pleasure to be before you today. For the record, my name is Leonardo Benavides, Government Affairs Manager with the City of North Las Vegas. We appreciate the time you have given us today to talk about the exciting developments and the growth that has happened in the City of North Las Vegas. With me here at the table today, we have our esteemed Mayor, Pamela Goins-Brown. We have our City Manager / Chief Executive Officer, Ryan Juden. And we also have our Director of Community Services and Engagement, Serafin Calvo. I also want to acknowledge the rest of the team that we have here as well that will also be available for questions afterwards. We have Michaela Moore. She is our City Attorney and Chief Legal Officer. We have Rebecca Gibson, who is our Assistant City Manager. We also have Marisa Rodriguez, who is our Chief Deputy City Attorney. And we have Jarrett Luke, who is our Director of Government Affairs and Economic Development. And of course, we have Candace Townsend, who is a Government Affairs Specialist here on hand today. So without further ado, I will pass it to our City Manager.
Good morning, Ryan Juden, for the record. Staff told me to say that I'm Dr. Juden, but my kids say I'm not a real doctor, just because I have a PhD, so I don't use that title. But I'm thankful to be here today, thankful for all the time that you all have taken to prepare for this. I'd like to kind of run you through a little bit of the City of North Las Vegas. On the first slide, you'll see that that's our current council. We have 5 members on our council. It includes the mayor, and what you really see on this slide is a slide of firsts. We have the first Latino elected to the city of North Las Vegas in Councilman Barone. We have the first Latina that's on council in Councilwoman Ruth Garcia Anderson. And sitting beside me, we not only have our first black mayor, but we have the state's first African American mayor. On the next slide, we also have a municipal court, the City of North Las Vegas. This is a court that's changed a little bit over time. It's important to know that in 2016, council voted to decrease the court by one judge due to the casework. We generally use a lot of data in making decisions at the executive and council level. However, in 2020, due to increase in caseload, council made the decision to add a second court, which was added in February of 2021. One of the things that I want to point out in the next slide, this shows the map of the wards of the city of North Las Vegas. You'll notice that Ward 1, it seems to be rather large. Councilman Barone likes to say it's the largest there is. And everything that's happening in North Las Vegas is happening in Ward 1, is what he says. But that includes Apex Industrial Park. It includes a lot of our undeveloped land in North Las Vegas. We redraw districts in the city of North Las Vegas every 10 years following a census. And if you look at the city of North Las Vegas, it's the 18th most culturally diverse city in the nation. We're very proud of that in the city of North Las Vegas. If you look at the city demographics on this slide, it shows that 42% of our community is Hispanic or Latino, 22% is African American, 24% is white, and then 7.4% is AAPI. We've had a tremendous population growth in the past. At its height in 2020, we had a population growth that surpassed 9%. It then leveled off in the next few years, and it's leveled off in the over the last decade, and it's currently at 1.68% annually is our growth. I think most of you probably know that the city of North Las Vegas has had a bit of an interesting history, in particular in the past decade. In 2013, actually in the summer of 2012, I was contacted by then former State Senator Mayor Lee, and was asked, I was doing work with Brookings Institute, and was asked if myself and the late Dr. Rob Lang could put together some ideas on how North Las Vegas could be saved. I remember the conversation well, because at the time that he called, I actually, living in North Las Vegas and paying attention to what was going on in North Las Vegas, I thought that the state had taken over the city. So I said, well, why would you run for mayor of North Las Vegas? I don't think the city of North Las Vegas is still a city. He said, oh no, it's very much a city. And I just think that there's something that can be done to save the community. So working with Dr. Lang, we put together a plan of how to address the challenges that we're facing North Las Vegas. This slide lists some of those issues. It was tremendous, the challenges that it faced. The city of North Las Vegas was in state receivership. And even though it was in state receivership, and it sounds like that might be a safe place to be, the state was not really sure what to do with it. The section of NRS that deals with state receivership didn't really contemplate a challenge as large as North Las Vegas. In fact, that section of the NRS was written to deal with challenges in White Pine County School District, which, as you know, is a county of a little over 10,000 people. So the complexities and the immense challenges facing North Las Vegas were something that we didn't really have a structure in the state of how to deal with it. We worked with legislative leadership at the time and with the governor at the time, and were given basically 2 years to try and fix the city of North Las Vegas. At that time, it had a very highly speculative junk bond rating. So if you're looking at bond ratings, it was basically 5 levels below junk. So it wasn't just junk, it was junk, 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 junk times 5. And that's very significant for a city that relies on bonding and relies on bond rating. And so if you compare this to personal, probably had a personal credit rating or personal credit score of around 100 is where the city of North Las Vegas was. There was a $152.6 million structural deficit, which was forecasted out in the future, which meant cities don't usually go bankrupt in the sense of a normal term. And the reason they don't go bankrupt is because they have revenues that are coming in, usually through wastewater and utilities and different things like that. What they do is they become service level insolvent. They're just unable to match the revenues to the number of services and the need for services for the community. That's generally what happens to cities in crisis, and we've seen that across the country. There were also current active lawsuits with every one of our collective bargaining groups. Just a few months after coming to the city of North Las Vegas, a judge made a decision on contract breaches that had happened 2 years prior, and there was a $41 million judgment against the city of North Las Vegas. And at that time, trust me, there was not $41 million to solve that challenge. We worked very hard with our collective bargaining groups in the early days to find out how to solve this challenge. They were concerned about our community. They loved our community. They worked and served in our community. And collectively with them, we were able to resolve that challenge and many other challenges. And you have to understand, too, that this came from a workforce that was very traumatized in many ways. Over a third of the workforce of the city of North Las Vegas had been laid off in the preceding year. Another big challenge that we had, which I'll get to a little bit later on in the slide, is the PILT transfer. I'll explain that a little bit more and the importance of both this committee and this body in really helping rescue the city of North Las Vegas. One of the first things that we knew we needed to do in the city of North Las Vegas in implementing different parts of the plan was to really build a new team. You can see here on this slide the progress that has been made. Once again, we have the demographic profile of the city of North Las Vegas. And then we have the management team that was inherited in 2013 whenever I came into the city of North Las Vegas. You can see it's predominantly white. It was 96% male at the director and above. And we've made very purposeful and intentional efforts to make sure that we have a management team today that more reflects the community that it serves. If you see the management team that's there and that we represent today, it is a management team that is dramatically different than what we had 10 years ago. We like to call that just a decade of progress, and recognizing our community and recognizing the need to make sure that we had diversity of thought and diversity of action within the room that was making key decisions. First item of business of any business is to stay in business, and that's what we faced at the city of North Las Vegas, is how do we stay in business? What do we do to make the changes in order to do that? One of the things that kind of became, and we've incorporated a lot in the conversations around the city of North Las Vegas, is this concept that comes from Justice Brandeis, who was a Supreme Court justice. And he sometimes provides some of the early commentary on federalism. And what he was commenting on in this case is the fact that states, bodies like this, are the perfect place where you can experiment on different things, and not necessarily at the national level. And he called these laboratories of democracy at the state level. That's something that we've adopted throughout the core within the city of North Las Vegas, is I believe all of our departments in many ways are laboratories of democracy, where we can try different things, where we can test different things. One of the first things that we needed to do, obviously, was bringing that team in to liberate thought within the city of North Las Vegas, because a lot of the bureaucrats and technocrats within the city had good ideas. They had good thoughts on how to solve problems, but there wasn't a way where we could access that information. So both working with the existing team, bringing in new leadership, we were able to really harness that. One of the first real experiments that I could say we did at the city of North Las Vegas was this concept of gronomics. As you saw in Henderson's slide early in their presentation, the city of North Las Vegas has one of the highest taxing rates in southern Nevada. That was something that we knew early on, that the challenges that the city of North Las Vegas were facing were because of management, because of leadership. And it wasn't fair to pass those on to the residents of North Las Vegas. And so we took an innovative approach, because lots of times in government, when you have challenges where you don't have the revenues to meet your needs, you just raise taxes. But we knew that wasn't an option, and we were trying to see if there's a different way to do that. And so we implemented this theory at the time, which was gronomics, where we believed that we could go out and, instead of going to the existing tax base, we could grow a new tax base. And through that new tax base, we could level off some of the demands on the city of North Las Vegas. I think if you look at economic development in the city of North Las Vegas and you see the successes there, you can see that gronomics was something that really started to work in this first laboratory that we had in North Las Vegas. One of the early thoughts in putting together how to save North Las Vegas was the fact that about 87% of Americans, their retirement is actually in their home. And so that became something that became a litmus that we would use against all decisions that were being made, is how could we increase home values? Because that's something that would make a dramatic impact on residents in North Las Vegas if we could do things at the municipal level to increase home values. And we were able to see various opportunities to do that. One example was the pig farm. For those of you that know North Las Vegas, there's a pig farm that was there in the center of North Las Vegas. I know, you can look back in the North Las Vegas colleague. I got to tell you, though, whenever we started making action to look at the impact of the pig farm, I probably received more hate mail than I'd ever received before, because people would take their families there. My wife's a fourth generation Nevadan, and she had grown up in North Las Vegas. They'd go to the pig farm, and the little piglets would be there. And so people weren't very happy that we were closing down the pig farm. But the reason that the pig farm was important is because within a 2-mile radius of the pig farm, all of the properties had on their titles, they had restrictions. They had an odor nuisance. And so what we found in looking at it, just once again, we are very data-driven in the city of North Las Vegas. Primarily, a lot of that comes from my experience as a social scientist, is we found that homes within that radius had a 17% decrease in valuation. And it was easy to track that because we had home builders that would build the exact same model outside of that radius, and we could see what the models were going for, the model homes. And so we knew that the pig farm was something that we needed to address. And that's just one of the many examples over the years of how we looked at home values as a way to really change North Las Vegas. Now, the economic development of North Las Vegas is not by accident. We knew that in coming into the city that we needed it to be a place where we could attract business. To grow that tax base, we had to make it a place that was comfortable for businesses to come. And we did that through various changes that were made throughout the city. I liken it lots of times to Harry Truman. When Harry Truman was elected president, he found out that the White House was falling down. It wasn't really hard. There's a couple stories where his family members, their foot would go right through the floor. And he said, we've got to do something about this. And so, but at the time that he in 48, when he first started the project to revamp the White House, he knew that everyone still needed to see the White House as a place that was in business, especially in DC, where you don't want to look like you've got one branch of government that's lame. So he kept the facade of the White House all there. You wouldn't even know what was going on, but there's some great pictures in the Eisenhower office building that shows dump trucks in the bowels of the White House with front loaders loading debris into it, but you would have never known it if you were looking at the White House. We did that same kind of remodeling and reconstruction within the organization of North Las Vegas. And what we were able to do is take permitting processes that used to take 6 months, and we reduced them down to minutes, to over the counter, where we knew developers could come in. One of the first developers that we attracted into North Las Vegas, we said, listen, we can do this faster than anybody else. They came and speculated. They built a large facility, and partway through their development of that facility, which resulted in 2 large Fortune 500 companies coming to the city of North Las Vegas, they said, you know what? You guys really can do this fast. And they pulled a project they were working on in Arizona and put that in North Las Vegas and moved those tenants to North Las Vegas because they recognized that we could move at the speed of business. And that really fundamentally changed our ability to grow that tax base. Apex is something that we've talked a lot about in the city of North Las Vegas because of the promise that it provides. But Apex was a challenge in being able to solve the infrastructure, getting the infrastructure out there so that real estate could turn into land that could be developed. If you see that slide in front of you, on the Economic Development Lab, it talks about where we are currently on the water line that's going out there and the success that we're seeing in Apex. Growth in Apex has started down in the southern regions where you'd expect it to start, right? Closest town, it's starting to build up. And we have some wonderful companies that have come in there that have created thousands of jobs for southern Nevada. Just highlighting a couple developments real quick. One of the things that we talked about whenever we looked at how to change North Las Vegas is we took the 2011 Brookings SRI report that influenced the decisions that were came out of this legislative body in 2011 to create GOED and to create the 7 sectors that were identified by the state. We specifically said, let's target 3 sectors. Let's look at those 3 sectors and see how we can align our growth with what the state has already put out there as what the pathway forward for the redevelopment in Nevada is. Agora is an example of a development that's happening down in downtown North Las Vegas. It represents 19 acres. It's 900 permanent jobs. There's $200 million in capital investment. This is another area where we're seeing complete changes within the city of North Las Vegas. It's going to provide jobs and opportunity for our residents. The next slide is Helios. Helios is a medical complex that represents our desire to tap into the health and medical sciences, which is one of the 7 sectors identified by GOED. This is a massive project. As I mentioned before, my wife, who's from the area, one of the things that she's never really liked is the fact that none of our kids were born in North Las Vegas, because there's not a hospital there. If you want to buy a new car, you're not going to buy it in North Las Vegas, because it's a community that's growing into our own now. And so this will provide that opportunity for services for our residents in what really is a healthcare desert. It includes a 600 hospital bed, 12,000 jobs, and represents $4.5 to $5 billion in investment in the city of North Las Vegas. If you look at the 10 years of Grownomics and what it's returned to the city of North Las Vegas, I think it is an experiment that's been widely successful. You can see the numbers of jobs that have been created, the amount of investment that's come into the community. We had some audacious goals. We said we were going to do 100 million square feet in new concrete, ways that we could quantify what growth looked like. And I think one of the things that is, as we sit here today, is the need to create a tax base has happened. The assessed valuation of the city of North Las Vegas in 2013 was $3.98 billion. That's the assessed valuation the county makes when determining taxes. Today, that is at $11.11 billion, which is a 180% increase in our tax base in the city of North Las Vegas. And what this translates to is the burden has not been placed on our residents. What we're seeing is we're able to see that the city of North Las Vegas is starting to live within its means, provide services that are critical to the residents of North Las Vegas, at the same time expanding some of the services that we provide into the city of North Las Vegas. Another example of a laboratory within the city of North Las Vegas was, actually, let's go to, is that the next slide? Sorry. Actually, I'll go to Seraphin to talk a little bit about some of the expansive services that we've been able to provide now that we've established a stronger tax base in the city of North Las Vegas.
Thank you. And I just do want to interject and just let the body know that we've been listening to the presentation for about 13 minutes now. And so I'm going to give you 25 minutes. So I'm just letting you know that you have 12 minutes left because we do need time for questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee. Name is Seraphin Calvo. I'm Director of Community Services and Engagement for the City of North Las Vegas, for the record. I am the Director of Community Services, an area that I am really proud of, this division and department for the City of North Las Vegas, because we've been able to provide resources for the community in different areas like education, veteran services, which is what I'm going to speak of. The Veteran Resource Center recently opened October 27, 2022. This resource center is a 2,000 square foot facility with office space available for service providers to be able to utilize. Excuse me. It also has a large space for social gatherings, trainings, and meetings, a kitchen and a lounge area, computers and tablets available for training and education for our patrons. And also, we are currently open Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and soon we will be open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Veterans Resource Center is currently hosting daily classes, workshops, and activities such as warrior yoga, financial literacy classes, suicide prevention workshops, education on VA benefits, Armed Forces Chambers meetings, and health and wellness workshops. We've partnered with several service providers that are currently serving our community, veterans community out of the Resource Center, like Salvation Army, AARP, Armed Forces Chambers, U.S. Vets, Aetna, Integrated Medicine, Goodwill, and Compassion and Care for Hospice. Another area that I'm very proud of and very excited about is the Dolores Huerta Resource Center. The Dolores Huerta Resource Center, slated for completion in 2023, will be the first facility of its kind in Nevada, operated by the City of North Las Vegas and supported by service providers from across the Las Vegas Valley, providing a welcoming and inclusive one-stop shop for residents to access a wide variety of services and programs. All resources and information will be offered in both English and Spanish. The center will focus on serving the Hispanic Latino community while working to build connections between the diverse population represented in our great city, bringing critical services to the community. We've identified 6 areas that the programming and services will focus on: law clinic and workshops, education, technology, physical, mental, and health and wellness, job development, arts and culture. And the community is very excited about this Dolores Huerta Resource Center. Many organizations and service providers have already signed up to partner with the City of North Las Vegas at this resource center, to include Dolores Huerta herself, who is planning on being present at the ribbon cutting. Thank you.
I will try my best to move quickly because I know I've got the mayor beside me and I've got to give her time too. One of the things I do want to point out, just as an example of the success we've had with laboratories in North Las Vegas, is the Grant Lab. We identified in 2019 that there was going to be probably an increase in earmarks. We didn't anticipate that there was going to be the kind of federal spending that there was post or during COVID. And so what we did is we prepared, council provided guidance that we needed to really have a grant function in the city of North Las Vegas that could work with all the other departments. And it's an example of success we've had in the city of North Las Vegas. In FY19, there was $20.3 million in federal funding. In the past fiscal year, there was $168 million in active awards. That's a 727% increase. By bringing in professionals, by taking grants and making it a priority within the city of North Las Vegas, we were able to dramatically increase our grants. Another example is how we've been able to take this concept of being nimble is during the pandemic. During the pandemic, our team, as you can see on that slide, this is a lot of the things that public safety did, where we provided over 100,000 doses of vaccinations, which is dramatically higher than other jurisdictions that were larger than us. But this was a commitment that we had, not just to the community, but the fact that we had a lot of our communities, especially our communities of color, were disproportionately impacted by COVID, and we knew there was something we needed to do. But there's also other stories that happened during this time. If you recall, everyone was making this decision: who are the essential, who are the non-essential employees, and who are you going to send home, and who are you not going to send home? We made the decision in North Las Vegas that every single employee is essential during a pandemic. Just maybe their job functions prior to the pandemic might change. So we worked with our bargaining groups, and I can remember the Tuesday. So the state of emergency was declared on March 13th. That was on a Friday. I remember on a Tuesday standing with some of our librarians, some of our parking enforcement officers, because we're not going to give people parking tickets during the pandemic, as we were packing lunches at 3 Square for students that we knew were going to be the most vulnerable hit at the very beginning as food insecurity, where a lot of them received their food through the schools that had now been shuttered. So that was a team that not only did that team work, they kind of became like a utility player. We moved them around to do all kinds of different things, and that's just an example of how an innovative, quick team was able to really go in and make impacts for our residents. The next slide is on our budget. We'll reserve those if there's any specific questions on budget. And finally, I just wanted to just touch really quickly on the legislature. In 2017, we came to the legislative body and talked about the need for us to change the PILT transfer law. So what was happening in the city of North Las Vegas, almost a third of its budget was coming from a PILT transfer out of the sewer and water utility fund. So basically what was happening is the residents of North Las Vegas were being charged for the service. But then instead of those dollars going just to the service, they were being moved into the general fund in order to cover other services. That's something that this legislative body in 2011 rightfully said, you guys can't do that. You can't keep doing that. If you're charging people for services, you need to provide them for those services. If there's extra, you need to charge less. And we agree with that. But one of the challenges is the legislature gave 10 years between 2011 and 2021 to remove this transfer. It was very clear to us that there was no way the city of North Las Vegas could get itself out of the hole at the same time, eliminate this practice. So we came to the legislature in 2017 and said, we really need help on changing this. We need to lengthen the runway, make it a longer period of time where the city of North Las Vegas can use this, but that we want to responsibly start to decrease the city's reliance on it. And so that was something that was a landmark bill for the city of North Las Vegas. It was not an easy bill in the city of North Las Vegas. No one ever wants to come back to you guys and say, hey, y'all were wrong 5 years ago. We need to change that because of changed circumstances. But we worked with this body. We worked with then Commissioner Kirkpatrick. And she was key because her and our mayor at the time were the two chairs of government affairs who had passed that bill in 2011. So we were able to change that, which fundamentally changed the city of North Las Vegas because we were able to increase our rating of credit for bonds. And then with that, we were able to refinance. And as I sit here today, we've saved the residents of North Las Vegas over $70 million in interest payments alone by refinancing our debt because we had a debt, because we were able to increase our credit limit, or our credit due to the decisions that were made by this body. North Las Vegas is still very much a turnaround town. We had a landmark last week where our libraries, for the first time since the economic downturn, opened back to full capacity on their hours. We still see firsts that are happening in North Las Vegas as we turn and rebuild and turn the town around. And it's been a joy for me as city manager and as a member of this team to work on these challenges. We knew that there was something that we were doing that was special, and now it's something that we're talking with other scholars. S&P and Moody's did the rare thing of doing a site visit to North Las Vegas to try and understand how we were able to turn around the town financially so fast. And with that, we've then talked to other people that work directly with Moody's from countries as far away as Japan and Peru to work with their management teams and help them understand the things that we learned as we fought to bring the city back. At this time, I'd like to turn the time over to Mayor.
Good morning. As stated, my name is Pamela Goins Brown, Mayor of the City of North Las Vegas. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. As I grew up, I watched North Las Vegas grow up alongside me. I remember when it was referred to as Northtown. When Cops was filmed there, it did not have the best reputation. Sure, North Las Vegas has had its struggles, but as has been presented here today, it is clearly evident that North Las Vegas has grown into a truly diverse and thriving community, much different than the North Las Vegas of the past. When the city was faced with state receivership, I stood up for my community. I stayed up late trying to find solutions. I got my hands dirty and helped save it and turn it into what you see here today, as Dr. Juden, who doesn't want to be called Dr. Juden, has just presented. We saved the city. And now the residents have spoken and elected me the first African American mayor in Nevada's history. Since 2013 to 2022, Chapter 1 has been written, and now North Las Vegas gets to write its Chapter 2, so that our story continues to be told and future chapters will be written. I look forward to working with the state, which will require communication as we support each other, support our diversity. In the last year and a half, as I have traveled along the campaign trail, I met with wonderful, hardworking residents on their doorsteps and in public forums. I was so happy to hear that the residents approved of the direction the city is heading, and I promised them then, and I promised to this committee, that I will govern responsibly to continue making North Las Vegas the safe, prosperous, and beautiful city that it has become. And with those words, this concludes our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor, for joining us today and making the trip up to northern Nevada, where there's tons of snow, which I know us Las Vegas folks are not very much used to. At this time, I'll open it up for any questions from the committee members. All right, I'm going to start with Assemblyman Taylor, Assemblyman Nguyen, Assemblyman Hibbets, and then I'll go to Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation, and Madam Mayor, congratulations. It's an honor to meet the first Black mayor in our great state. I want to also applaud your efforts, Mr. Manager, to diversify at the top. a lot of times diversity is much easier on the front line than it is throughout the organization. So I certainly applaud those. Kind of those are directly your decision. So really, congratulations and kudos there. You should have a heads up because I asked this question about to the previous city as well. I'm always interested in the efforts as your city diversifies, and we want to build the economic viability, especially of those diverse communities. Right? Again, veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, disabled. You heard the thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, so I just want to know what do you have in your procurement area, purchasing? Do you have the supplier diversity program? And tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you very much for the question, Ryan Juden, for the record. Yeah, I did get a heads up, which was nice. So I was able to think about it. We have both programs, but one of the things is I think a lot of the governments in Southern Nevada have those programs. The Water Authority has a program that a lot of us modeled after. And we decided to go a little bit further in the city of North Las Vegas because you're correct. I mean, really the challenge is how do you interact, how do you interface with government? That can be a daunting task for any small business owner. It can particularly be a daunting task for our minority-owned businesses, our women, our veteran-owned businesses. So what we did is we created, once again, kind of drawing on my experience, that I think the Academy needs to be more than just random publications that they put out that don't really help anybody's life. We went to UNLV with this problem of how do we dig more in? And I knew the problem was a problem whenever I talked to my economic development team and said to them and asked in 2013, what's your biggest economic development success? And they said, oh, we brought El Pollo Loco to downtown. I thought, y'all didn't bring El Pollo Loco to downtown. That was rooftops and traffic counts. But more importantly, what I recognized is I don't know who owns El Pollo Loco. I don't know if it's a Saudi prince somewhere, it's a public traded company. I don't really know. But what I do know is that's not creating diversification in our community that's necessary. So we went to UNLV with this question and said, what can we do? Why can we do more than just a static page on a website that says, here is a program, here's how you work with the city? So we created BizConnect. And this is a program, I have a couple, it was actually in my slide, but I took it out when you asked that question. This is a program that is staffed by 2 full-time staff and 2 UNLV interns. It's very important there's bilingual within the staff that they can work with businesses. At this point, we've provided services to over 1,100 small businesses. We also we created because you're right, it's not just about money, but sometimes money is something that can matter. And so we looked basically at some of the micro business loans that were given by the development banks in Southeast Asia and things like that, and said, how can we do something like this? So we seeded a revolving credit loan that's provided to businesses, but at the same time, there are counselors. We're able to work with people on both business plans, and it's resulted in 75% of those 1,100 businesses are minority-owned businesses. They are women-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses. We've been able to start 18 new businesses. I would rather have economic development talk about the 18 new businesses than El Pollo Loco, because those are businesses that can really change generational wealth, change people's situation in the city of North Las Vegas. And we placed 46 new employees at these businesses. And this is something I welcome anyone on the committee to come to City Hall. We have it prominently right there on the first floor when you first walk in. And it's open to all of our businesses so that we're taking things off of the page and really working with our community to work with them on how they can get these government contracts, how they can build a relationship with government and being able to get contracts, which I think is a lot more than just something on a website.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager.
Yeah.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Sorry.
Yeah. I have a hard time sleeping as it is. No.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's got to be a hard job. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I do want to remind the presenters, I have a number of questions. So if we could provide concise and clear answers so that we can move on to the next question, that would be helpful. Assemblyman Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's really awesome to be here on International Women's Day and meet the first Black mayor of our state. So it's awesome to recognize you as well as one of your member in the audience. I met your city attorney this morning, who's Filipina. So I'm really, really happy that you're talk the talk and walk the walk as well. So my question, and of course you have the heads up from the last city, is around the policy with the language access community as well as the minority initiative that you have, and I want to direct this question to the mayor, is that you've been on the council for a while before you got elected mayor. So I'm just wondering about policies that you are going to champion now as mayor in terms of ensuring that our minority communities and your recruitment strategies in terms of staffing for the city and kind of along those lines on, your leadership and how you would continue to champion that. So that would be awesome if I can get that from the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pamela Goins Brown, for the record. And we do thrive and want to celebrate the diverse community in North Las Vegas, as our city manager mentioned and gave all those statistics. And so absolutely a goal is to continue to celebrate that diverse community, especially in City Hall. In years past, when I did first come on council, it was very male, white-dominated staff that I worked with. Great staff, but that blueprint has changed, and we are continuing to work on that by recruiting the best minority or diverse population of candidates that we have that apply for positions, whether it's at the management level or our liaison positions or positions throughout various departments in the city. And so that is a goal, and especially as a woman of color, that our leadership and our team members represent the community that they serve.
Well, I look forward to seeing the progress that you made and will continue to make as mayor and seeing that the diverse community in North Las Vegas be recognized under your leadership. So thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Assemblyman Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair. I know you can guess what I'm going to ask. Do you know your current vacancy rate at your police department?
I'll get that to you, but I believe it's 14%.
Thank you, and I'm specifically referencing commissioned as opposed to the civilian employees, although the civilian employees are extremely beneficial to a police department. Can't run without them.
We'll get that information to you. Thank you.
Assemblyman Gonzalez.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the presentation. I went to high school in North Las Vegas, and so running the streets at 16, 17, I feel like will always have a special place in my heart. I have two questions. One, I was curious, I asked the other city what your city manager makes and kind of if you could go into what goes into that. And then my other question in regards to your public safety budget, I was just curious if you could break that down a little bit. What does that look like? What does that mean? And thank you so much.
No problem. I'm Ryan Juden, City of North Las Vegas, for the record. I also had a contract review in December, and my current salary is $300,000. As far as, I'm not, when you talk about the public safety budget, do you have, because that includes both police and fire, as it's presented here. What kind of specifics would you like?
I think we just want the breakdown because it's obviously if you're including fire and police and then detention centers and any
Absolutely.
I mean, a breakdown of your budget. I imagine the city would have one.
We do. We'll provide that to you. Thank you.
Assemblyman De Silva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you again, North Las Vegas, for your great presentation. And Madam Mayor, congratulations on your historic achievement. It is a huge deal to have an African-American mayor leading one of our major cities here in the state. I have two questions. One is a positive one. The other one is maybe not so positive. So my first question is this. I've been very impressed with what's taking place along the Craig Road corridor between, say, the I-15 Pecos going out towards the Decatur. I think it's one of the great economic sort of stories in this state. How that area went from being pretty much nothing when I was in my 20s to today being one of the most vibrant sort of corridors in Nevada. So my first question is, what can other municipalities learn from what took place on that Craig Road corridor? And then my second question is, I grew up in North Las Vegas, went to Rancho High School. I teach there. We have a reputation. People look at us a certain way, and it seems to persist. When I tell people I'm from North Las Vegas, they automatically get a conception as to who I am and what I may be about. When I tell people that I went to Rancho High School, that I worked there, they have a conception about the school, a misconception, even though it's a 4-star school, one of our gems really in this state. So There's an artist out there, Drake, who says trust issues. You know, what is it about North Las Vegas, especially when it comes to trusting this city and what's going on in the ongoings of the municipality? That's my question. Thank you.
I'll take the happy question first, although I should probably end on a happy question. We're welcome. We love working with other local governments, and we have with local governments in Southern Nevada on how we were able to make that corridor is an example of something that you mentioned, but what we were able to do, and quite frankly, it's making processes a lot easier in North Las Vegas. Now, sometimes as government, you might want to talk about, your low tax environment, different things like that. And sometimes businesses actually see that as opportunities to exploit, right? They think they can come in and kind of negotiate better for their position. We made it very easy for developers, who are primarily who builds the buildings that then a lot of the retailers come into, to do business. And I think that there were a lot of developers that were coming into North Las Vegas, some that hadn't been there before, some that were coming for other projects might have been planned in the Valley, but they knew that they could come in very quickly in North Las Vegas and not have once you go hard on a project and you've got that land under, in a contract and with the bank, that interest starts eating away at your profit margins. And we just recognized that and worked with them. And it's something that it quickly started to snowball into what you see today. Now, as far as the Drake question, and that's a difficult one. What I can say is we live by a principle in North Las Vegas that you do what is right and let the consequences follow. We constantly are doing what we believe is right for the residents of North Las Vegas. I myself, and coming into the city of North Las Vegas, I was very happy where I was before and what I was doing before. So it makes me unique as a city manager because I'm not interested in keeping my job. I'm interested in doing my job. And that kind of liberates me. I think it liberates staff in being able to try different things and do different things. Whenever you have the amount of layoffs that happened in the city of North Las Vegas, the amount of trauma that happened in North Las Vegas, there were a lot of people that left the city and they probably weren't very happy. I'm sure that there's some impact that they've made. I know that though we had a plan coming into the city of North Las Vegas, the German Field Marshal Mont said that, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And that's something that as we started implementing the different steps that we were taking in North Las Vegas, it was difficult for some people. It was difficult to make the changes that were necessary because we were no longer going to be a government factory. When it comes to trust specifically, Lincoln said, old honest Abe, right? Lincoln said that trust is generally it's the best vindication for slander. And I think that North Las Vegas probably got some of its rap in the past by the very nature that it was a minority community and all the kinds of implicit biases that come with that. But without going into a big discourse on that, I think that there's some latent things that are present there. But then also the amount of work that it took to bring the city back from the brink was no small task, and it wasn't something that didn't raise a lot of dust.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of cut us off there and see. Members, any additional questions? I did have one quick question, and I know that Assemblyman Hibbett's kind of hit on some of this too. I'm just wondering if we could talk about like what officer retention looks like, what the rate of officers leaving, and then if we can have that broken down by demographics as well. I know that information might not be available at this moment, but I think it would definitely be helpful. And if we can also get detailed information on the diversity hires for officers here in North Las Vegas for a period of time, not just the last 3 years, not just the last 5 years, but if we can look at a big chunk of time, what that diversity for officer hirings looks like. I think that would be very helpful for the committee.
Thank you, Ryan Juden, for the record. To you, Chair. I will get that information for you. One thing I can say is things that I'm able to control as city manager. Currently, our executive team, our senior leaders within the department are 6 members, which I have direct impact over. We have 2 African Americans, 2 Latinos, and 2 whites. What I can say is, as we talk about this decade, 2013 to today, the number of representation was 23% in 2013, and today it's 37%. I'll get you the specific breakdowns on that, but we are seeing progress in making sure that we have a police force that represents the community it serves and looks like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other additional questions, members? Assemblyman Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. and thank you for the presentation. Of course, I represent Assembly District 17 in beautiful North Las Vegas, and I'm so proud that you were able to put on the record the things that have happened in our city. And I think that it's a positive, and I see that the growth is coming to our city, and people are looking at us. You know, we're not that place that they used to refer to as Northtown. We are the city of North Las Vegas, beautiful North Las Vegas. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think that concludes our questions. Thank you. Did you want to add one last statement, Mayor?
Pamela Goins Brown for the record. Well, yes, I do, Madam Chair. Thank you. Just because I cannot just sit still. Just to comment, mostly, I consider myself a hands-on leadership style, and what we do is not for you, it's not for me, it's all what's best for the citizens and the residents of North Las Vegas. Sure, it's easy to always downplay and look down on the past and focus on the negative. But if you really stop and you look at the city of North Las Vegas over the years and the growth that we've made, the tremendous progress that we've made, I am so proud to call myself a resident of North Las Vegas and the place that I am so proud to call home. And when you get the various text messages, emails, phone calls from our residents, whether they've been there a few months, a few years, or decades, to say that we are so pleased with North Las Vegas and what this city is doing, and that's just a testimony of the hard work and dedicated staff and the people that I get to work with every day that help to make the city shine. So our story is going to be continued to be told, and the book is not closed. The next chapters are still to be written, and so I just look forward to working with you, and hopefully that you will be as proud as North Las Vegas as we are. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this committee continues to look forward to working with you all as well. Thanks. At this time, this concludes all the items on our agenda, so I will go ahead and go to public comment. As a reminder, each person has 2 minutes to provide testimony. Public comment may be submitted in writing to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. Is there anyone wishing to testify in public comment here in Carson City? Seeing none, is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in public comment? Seeing none, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in public comment? BPS.
Chair, the line is open and working, but we have no callers at this time.
And as a reminder to the committee members, tomorrow we'll be back in this room, and we will be hearing AB 222 and AB 224. Is there any remarks from the committee members? All right, this concludes our meeting. This meeting is adjourned.